learned a couple things about my grandfather that I'd never known before. You know, my grandfather never talked about money. He never talked about the war. He never talked about anything except for, you know, his lifestyle and, you know, the things that he had seen. And he really loved to plant and to cook. He taught me how to cook. And I didn't know that he had any money or any means, but he never made a big deal out of it either. But it turned out he's worth a couple $1 million. And it turned out his father was worth a couple $100 million, and they had a fight. So my grandfather was in a tiff with my great-grandfather, and when my great-grandfather died, he left all of that money to the maid, and she was from Colombia, and she went back to Colombia. And we're talking like almost $1 billion by today's standards. You know, a lot of land and orchards and different things. And you know, my great-grandfather and my grandfather never did reconcile in their lives, but what I learned was that his uncle, my great-uncle, Al, had invested in things like Standard Oil and Bell Telephone in the early turn of the century era, around the time of the Great Depression. And those companies, by the time my grandfather was retired, had turned into 15 different companies, like AT&T, Verizon, ExxonMobil, Texaco. They're all, you know, came down from those big monopolies back in the day in the telecom and the oil industry. So what I learned was that a few $100s, you know, or the equivalent today, wisely invested over one generation can make you wealthy. And that, you know, started a lifelong fascination with stocks and the stock market and trading. And eventually I got into real estate in a big way when I lived in New York City. But, you know, the thing that I saw most was that, you know, money was something to be treated with respect. And if you treated it with respect, it could grow and you can invest and you could create the income that you need to live your life however you wanted.
You're watching the 5 Minute Bark Podcast on YouTube. If you like this episode, you just may like many more. Subscribe today by clicking the red subscribe button in the top right-hand corner.